If you are a federal government employee and you have a lot of money in your traditional TSP, this might actually surprise you. Today, we're going to look at a live scenario, a client that came to our office with a strong TSP, $860,000, and at age 60, they're wondering whether they can retire. So these are scenarios we're going to go in and be able to give you things that you need to understand as a federal government employee to be able to make the retirement decisions out there. Today, I'm here with Seth Emers, one of the finance advisors here at Axiom Value. Seth, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Momodou.
So you very much remember the scenario that we're talking about, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So we're not going to name names over here, right? So, but we're just going to go through the scenario. So $860,000, and then this individual, 60 years in the federal workforce, but unfortunately has probably 18 years of service, right? What do you think? What was the analysis?
So just like we were discussing earlier, looking at the totality of the circumstances and all the variables is critical when it comes to the retirement planning piece.
Sure.
And so just like you're saying, 18 years of service at age 60, can you retire under MRA plus 10, but you stay 2 more years to get to 20, and now you're eligible for full retirement, immediate pension, no penalties. So these things make a big difference. Same thing, TSP balance, just well, is this a traditional tax-deferred account, or is there money in a Roth?
And in this case, it's all in tax deferred, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So then you have to think about the tax implications on that money, right? When is he actually even going to start taking money out from that, right? So all of that are scenarios that we basically look at it and say, well, hey, maybe your best case scenario would be what? If he works for 2 more years and then be able to get to the 20 years, what would that do for him? Because now he'll basically get what? Full retirement without any penalties on that. Because if he retires at MRA plus 10, there is definitely a penalty involved in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then that gets, so now if your pension is going to be this much now, it's going to be here. Now you're talking about less income coming into retirement piece. So that is huge, right?
And of course, it's always all about the bottom line.
Right.
People want to know what the money is, but hey, it also impacts the benefits to some extent.
Exactly.
And even though they don't, they're not technically penalties, they sure feel like penalties, right?
Yes.
And I think similarly, I know this is a slightly different scenario, but where, someone wants to retire at 61, if they stay just 1 more year till 62 and they get the 1.1% multiplier, and we can show them exactly, hey, this is quantifiable.
Yeah.
This is the difference of what your pension, if you just stay 1 more year, look, the decision is up to you, but I want to show you the alternative.
Yeah.
Because in the government, we have an expression. You say, well, I could do a year standing on my head. I wouldn't want to stand on my head for a full year. And sometimes, you're in a work environment that's not pleasant, but a year goes by quickly, especially the longer you've been in. So these are all planning factors. And just like you were saying earlier, the tax implications are huge, especially when you look at all of the other pieces that we're coordinating. Does this person plan to enroll in Medicare Part B at age 65? Because that traditional tax-deferred account, that's going to come back to haunt them when it comes to the income-related monthly adjustment amounts.
That's big. And in this scenario too, if you remember, he had this misconception that he is going to be eligible for the special retirement supplement. So the special retirement supplement is for federal government employees who are eligible to retire. They've met all the full retirement criteria. If they retire before 62, they get the retirement supplement, right? And it's not a Social Security supplement. I know people will say that it's a Social Security supplement. It's not. It's a retirement supplement that usually comes out for OPM pays that. In this scenario, is he going to be able to get that?
Nope.
And he was shocked about that because that's an information that he didn't know. He was counting on that. Now, so now that income that he's counting on, that supplement is no longer there, and then the small pension that he's going to get is going to get what penalized because of like, early retirement, right? MRA plus 10. And on top of that, he's not eligible for Social Security. And on top of that, he's going to start making withdrawals from the TSP. If you start making withdrawals from the TSP at age 60, we look at this individual, his life expectancy was probably like maybe like 95. If you start taking that withdrawal from $860,000 at age 60, now you're talking about the amount that he's going to take out, the tax implication on that, and by the way, we're not even talking about the sequence of return risk, because what most people don't understand is when you're taking money out of your investment, if at the same time the stock market drops, you're going to put too much pressure on your portfolio. So now the market drops, you're making a withdrawal, then there goes your portfolio even further down. If that happens maybe 2-3 years in your retirement at the same time, that could be a big, big problem. And then, so I always like to tell people, I say, well, at some point we're going to get older, right? And then as you get older, the chances of you getting a job is a lot harder. And then the chance of you getting sick is very high. So at the time that you are vulnerable, you don't want to actually lose money around that time, or you don't want to not have money at that time, because it's very, very important that we do have planning in this scenario.
100% agreed. And it just further reinforces the not just importance, but the power of proper planning. Yeah. Because everything you mentioned, right, the sequence of return risk, which what do most retirees worry about the most? Running out of money, right? I don't want to outlive my savings. I worked hard for these savings. Well, these risks are things that are beyond most of our control. We don't predict the stock market. We don't know when it's going to go up or down. And so at the end of the day, planning means accounting for all possible outcomes and making sure that you're adaptable to no matter what happens in the future.
Exactly.
Those are the kinds of plans that we work with federal employees to construct so that they can retire with peace of mind and never having to worry, because they know, hey, I have a plan for this. If the stock market starts to crash, guess what? I have a plan for that. If the tax rates go up, I have a plan for that.
That's spot on. I think is that peace of mind, right? Because going into retirement, like I said, is your golden years. You want to go into retirement and enjoy, have that peace of mind. But you know what, Seth, there's a phenomenon going on in this country over here, and I call it the saver's dilemma, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, they have money. Well, you have basically two ways to save that money. You could put it into the stock market so that it can grow, or if you don't want the stock market, then you could put it somewhere that at least is safe. Now, the problem here is if you put it into a stock market, well, it's risky, but that's your chance of actually having that money to grow fast. Well, if that's not what you want, well, if you put it somewhere safe, yes, you get that peace of mind. The problem that is happening over here is the growth is not there. So now you have what do you do, right? So that's when we come in and then be able to look at the resources that we have, because part of things that most people don't understand about a financial advisor role is, we have tons and tons of solutions out there. It's like the toolbox. Well, we know exactly the things that we have in that toolbox, but our job is to basically understand what your needs are, what are your problems, and then be able to pick the right tool from the toolbox and then be able to solve the problem. So the analogy that I always like to give people is, well, if you have a plumbing issue, well, somebody comes in and an electrician comes in with electrical tool, well, that's not going to work, right? So so there's a mismatch over here. So we want to be able to understand that, hey, this is a plumbing issue. We want to bring in plumber with the right tools to be able to solve that, right? So, and then that's exactly what we do as a financial advisor, so that we can, it's almost like really looking at somebody's values and their goals and then be able to align them, right? okay, if we're able to do that, we succeed, and then they have a profound retirement wealth. Well, if you're a federal government employee and then you're watching this channel, probably say subscribe, because this is where we put important information that can have a profound impact in your retirement. Until then, we'll see you soon. Take care.